It's been far too long, a full decade since Liverpool were last in an FA Cup final, far longer since they lifted this famous trophy. And today, Jürgen Klopp's Reds have the chance to write themselves a new chapter in the history books all over again. We're looking ahead to Chelsea versus Liverpool in the Emirates FA Cup final. Wembley is ready for another breathtaking encounter between these two. Kickoff is at 4:45 over on LFC TV and LFC TV Go. The build-up will start at 3 p.m. with Matchday Live. You are very welcome to a scorching hot Wembley as they go through the pre-match test, national anthem, You'll Never Walk Alone, and we're here alongside Jason McAteer.
How
Wembley. I don't know, it's goosebumps, isn't it? You walk in, you have the tension of the morning, waiting for this time to pass, but once you're inside, the feeling's completely different, isn't it?
I even got a bath like I did when I was a player just to get myself ready for this moment. We've come in early and obviously there's no fans in here yet, but the atmosphere is building lovely outside. We walked across from the hotel. There's a lovely bit of colour around, the Reds around. There's a buzz about the place. We've walked in. It's all set. I mean, that grass, I mean, just look at that pitch. Absolutely fantastic. And now we're here. It's worth winning.
Wembley has different memories for all of us as supporters.
Yeah.
As a player, it must be almost like you've got 150 pictures all going in, you know, very quick motion about moments you had here as a player, things you might have done differently and things that you loved about it.
I mean, the FA Cup brings a lot of nostalgia back, doesn't it? And, you know, when I think about the FA Cup, I don't just think about it as a player, because for me, it was the thing. It wasn't the Champions League. It wasn't Europe as such. It was playing for Liverpool in the FA Cup final. I was always Kenny Dalglish in the park scoring the winner. So when I look back at the FA Cup, I think of Alan Sunderland, Ricky Villa, you know, them moments that I watched, you know, with my dad and with my mates as I grew up, going to the cup final in '89 and reminiscing the coach journey down, coming back. It was just, you know, such a fantastic competition. But then to realise the dream, put on the red shirt for Liverpool in 1996 and fulfil that dream, albeit it tinged with sadness because we lost the cup final. I still got to play at Wembley, old Wembley, for Liverpool in the cup final in '96. It doesn't get much better than that, Pete.
Now this is all designed at running down the clock, you know, that have woken up early this morning because of the nerves. I know they're a finely oiled machine, but
yeah,
you know, they'll have gone back to bed after their breakfast and their walk, and then there'll be the pre-match meal as well. What is it like for a player, that moment waiting to get inside here and get your kit on?
Pete, you're certainly not invited to a final. You've got to earn the right to play in a final, and this team have done it. You know, they're relentless, aren't they, to get into finals. And yeah, you know, their love affair with the FA Cup, I would say, is more they flirted with it. You know, there's nothing prolonged about it. We've used 30 players again this season in this competition. You know, the manager's used it for his means. And I would still suggest the Premier League and the Champions League takes priority. Of course they do. But because of the nature of this squad, because of the strength of this squad, we've ended up in the final. And, you know, it's something that probably Jürgen will be happy with. He certainly won't want to leave this football club without winning the FA Cup. It will be missing on his CV if he doesn't do it. And now he's got the opportunity. Now he's got the players ready for it. The adrenaline will be pumping through the veins. They'll be looking forward to it. They'll be itching to get out there like a boxer, you know, just before they go out and fight. You know, you hate that build-up. You just want to get out on the pitch. You just want to get in the ring. And once they do, I'm sure they'll do themselves justice.
These are two teams that are perennial winners, aren't they? Been in finals, they're used to the atmosphere and the build-up to them as well. Does that make it an even harder one to call, particularly with what happened in the Carabao Cup? It took loads and loads of penalties to settle it. Are you expecting something as tight as that again today?
Absolutely. I don't think there's a lot between the teams. I think, you know, as you do your research, you look at Thomas Tuchel. You know, he's already played in 4 finals with Chelsea. They've been here 5 times and lost, so they want to put the record straight. We beat them in the Carabao Cup final. They'll want revenge. So it's set up for Chelsea. For us, you know, we've been in this competition, in this situation before in finals. We know what to expect. We know how to handle the emotion, the atmosphere. We know how to get over the line. Obviously, we've got the Champions League in a couple of weeks' time. That, you know, that plays its part as well in the manager's thinking, team selection. We're still in the hunt for the Premier League, albeit tomorrow we'll have to wait and see what City do. But yeah, it's a close one. It's a close one. And like you said, you know, we played them 3 times this season, over 90 minutes. We've drawn out all 3 games, and it did take penalties. I expect something very, very similar, you know, between the two teams today. Very, very tight. It does depend on team selection, I think, for Chelsea. You know, Lukaku's 3 goals in the last 2 games. He's put himself in the manager's thoughts maybe to start the game, but then again he likes them 3 players who have a lot of movements and can move them about, so maybe Mount, Havertz and Werner might get the nod today. We'll have to wait and see. I think there's a few more questions for Thomas Tuchel in team selection than what there is for Jürgen Klopp.
And in terms of this renaissance, so there's a special celebration here today, 150 years of the FA Cup. Pete Tong's on later on as well. Those of you that were kind of out doing your thing in the mid-90s will remember him well. But, you know, it's a renaissance for the FA Cup, isn't it? The fact that there's massive teams in the final again. The squads are big enough to take on extra competitions. Are we almost seeing the next generation of this competition being massive again?
I don't think so. I think that the cream always seems to rise to the top, and you always need that little bit of luck in a cup competition, you know, who you draw, whether you draw home or away. That plays a big advantage. I mean, you can go through this competition without really having playing anyone and end up in the final. Most competitions are like that, but yeah, I would suggest over the last few years the big teams are getting there, aren't they? And like I said, the strength of the squads as well now, you know, to match the likes of City, to match the likes of Liverpool, you know, you have to build squads that can cope with everything that's thrown at you, and I think that's why the likes of Chelsea are ending up in the final, and other big teams are around. You know, Manchester United next season will be looking maybe to get a cup under the belt with their new manager. They'll be pushing to win this competition. So there's becoming, I think you're right, I think there's becoming an importance again to win the FA Cup for teams.
We're seeing the road to the final there. Some people might look at it and say they had a bit of a fortunate way to the final. Sometimes that happens, but they had to beat Manchester City here. They had to come back from the dead almost when the closing stages of that game were being played out. I mean, Liverpool have just been supremely good when the moments have come for them.
They were in a good sort of spell around that time, weren't they, where they were playing some really attractive football, but in spells, you know, maybe 90 minutes was a little bit beyond them. But that first half against Manchester City was absolutely fantastic. I mean, but then obviously you'd expected City to come back, and they threw up a fight, and you know, unfortunately for them, they never got over the line, but Liverpool did. You know, and I think from that game, Liverpool have been outstanding, but also we've seen, you know, bad patches as well. Villarreal, Everton, we found a way of winning, but hopefully today we can put a full 90 minutes in and bring this cup home.
Our nerves were in a great state, weren't they, until the closing stages of this game. And we just went back to historical Liverpool, where we never do things particularly easy. But, yeah, let's hope it's slightly more easy on our nerves here this afternoon. Let's hear from the boss now on Liverpool's amazing season so far. And, of course, being back at Wembley for a third time. He begins by reflecting on that semi-final win over City, a game he's got fond memories of.
Yeah, we played only a couple of days before in the league against them, and obviously it was. And it's when you know how you shouldn't do it, it's always good that you can show immediately how you could have done it in the first place. And that's how we started the game pretty much. It was a completely different game, and so that was great. With all the games the boys played around it, that we arrived in the final is really massive. Great achievement already, but of course we know what we have to do.
So now the final is here, and obviously you've had a few tastes of Wembley already this season. So how does it feel to walk out there, see the Liverpool ends at Wembley, the flags, the songs? Describe those emotions.
I said it after the Carabao final. It was no difference to the Champions League final 2-3 years ago. No difference. Because, it was blue and red, bam. Both went for each other, so easy to see where we were, the others. Massive atmosphere, really. And I expect exactly the same again. People always said I'm not the biggest fan of the domestic cup competition. That's not true. It just never happened. Now, this year, it happened the second time, and honestly, can't wait to feel the atmosphere again. This season so far, I think we all agree, it's a very successful season. But without winning anything, it will not be the season. So that's how it is. And we won the Carabao Cup already, but we are Liverpool. We are we have a world-class club. We have a world-class team. So it's difficult to define a season as absolutely perfectly successful if you win the Carabao Cup only, with all the other being in all the other finals. So we know that the decisive part is coming now. No problem at all. The season until now, well, it's the first time ever a team fought for the title and was in 3 finals. So there's a reason for it, because it's really difficult and really, really intense. And being here is good, but the icing on the cakes is still missing, and we're working on that now.
Well, it's the oldest competition, isn't it? And you see this desire, whether it's a fairly new one for this modern-day manager, to sweep the board. It's almost like a hunger and need that, yeah, we've had great success in European Cups. We've won a Premier League title again. but there seems almost this hunger now to sweep the board domestically as well. That's how you remember top teams, top managers. They win everything.
And this team is being spoke about as the greatest Liverpool team, and you know, what is the criteria for the greatest? You know, they say that about legends. What is it? Is it longevity? Is it medals won? Is it personality? Is it goals scored? You know, there's a little bit of everything, really. And when I think of a great team, it has to be a little bit of everything. And I think the FA Cup warrants being a little bit of something. And like I said before, I think Jürgen Klopp does want this. I think he's taken criticism in the past, but I think we all understand the nature of how he treats the competition, bed players in, give players experience, bring the younger players through. And I mentioned it before, 30 players have played in this competition for Liverpool. So he has utilised the squad and to give them experience, younger players and fringe players minutes. But he's ended up in the final, and he knows it's an ideal opportunity to choke this one off and put it in the trophy cabinet. And you know, the League Cup's been done. He can tick the FA Cup off, hopefully today. We've got the Champions League, we've got the League, and we can just keep on building. And I think this team will go down as the greatest.
It was interesting being inside the hotel last night. Some of the hardest working people you never see, you know, in a football club are the masseurs and the physios who very late into the night last night were making sure the players, you know, were getting the rubs that they needed to feel in the right way for the game. Game number 60 today, and we hear a lot about red zones, don't we? Players will be playing with knocks, will be playing with niggles at the moment. How big a part will that be playing in his mind now, Jürgen Klopp? I know the Champions League is 2 weeks away, but he doesn't want to lose another one like he did with Fabinho. Could there be a team selection that reflects on the amount of games that they've played, or is this just the strongest 11 he can muster?
It's the strongest. I mean, you're in the final of the FA Cup. And like I said, you know, the Champions League is in 2 weeks' time. Manchester City could write us out the league tomorrow. So then Southampton becomes a little bit insignificant because he can rest a lot of players in preparation. I think then the Wolves game becomes important because he'll want the players to be sort of motivated and sort of ticking over for that Champions League. So I think he could go strong again. So, you know, there's a lot of questions and boxes to be ticked in regards to the Premier League. We should know a lot more tomorrow, but as far as today goes, he just takes every game as he can and goes with the strongest team. But also he'll have one mind on the team, the personnel, that he can do the most damage to Chelsea. I mean, you know, we see him changing teams, not just because of red zones and because of fitness and niggles. He does change them because of the team selection gets changed because of the nature of the team he plays against tactically. So we'll have to wait and see. You know, we haven't been beaten by Chelsea over the last 3 games. He has changed the team slightly, but I think he goes very, very strong today.
Almost seen as potentially 2 games, though. I think a lot of people coming here today will be thinking, this is extra time. We hope not penalties, but he can use 5 substitutes. Is there almost a thought that you can win the game or lose the game from 60 minutes onwards, depending on what you have on your bench to bring on?
No, not necessarily. I think, you know, you've got to be in the game. You've got to, like I said, there's a lot of things go into a game like this, you know, riding the emotion of the game, you know, with being a final, the hunger and desire for wanting. Sometimes you can want it too much, you know, which could be the case. You know, you look at Chelsea, like I said, they've been beaten here the last 5 times. They'll want revenge over the League Cup. How much do they want it? I think, like I said before, Thomas Tuchel's got a lot more selection problems or headaches than what Jürgen Klopp has got. I think the contentious positions, I think, for Liverpool, our centre-half, does Matip or Konate play? Obviously, Fabinho was a big loss. You know, we've had 26 clean sheets this season, which is phenomenal, and he's been a major part of them clean sheets. If Jordan Henderson plays in there, it's got to be a very disciplined performance by Jordan. He's got to stop the edge of getting forward, trying to get into the box, maybe create things and just sit there and do that disciplined defensive job. You think Thiago would come in, Keita for his mobility and sort of getting around the pitch. That'll help, but the front 3, I think, picks itself. For me, he goes very, very strong.
Just a quick word on Chelsea then. There was a blow for them midweek with Kovacic, his injury against Leeds. Looks as though he's going to play. Kante's been carrying something as well. They're so pivotal to the way they play. Can they afford 2 players in there that maybe aren't 100% fit?
Well, mobility is going to be the big thing for Chelsea, and, you know, obviously them 2 players can get around the pitch. Loftus-Cheek has obviously played a part in there before, not really set it alight. Kovacic, I mean, he's making noises that he could be fit. I think he could play. Jorginho in there as well. He could be a massive factor in getting on the ball. It's who dominates possession in there. If he gets on the ball, he can find the willing runners ahead of him. I think the big area for Liverpool and Chelsea in team selection is how he goes with that front 3. Does he play 1 and then 2, or does he play 2 and then 1? Which means Mason Mount, Havertz, Werner. Does Lukaku play? He's got a lot of problems up there, Thomas Tuchel. We'll have to see how he goes.
And how does Liverpool's top 3 rate as well? What kind of composition is that? Does Sadio Mane feature in that? Let's hear from him now, alongside a couple of his teammates, to look ahead to the FA Cup final.
the FA Cup, I think everybody knows it's my share for sure, and it has been my dream for sure to win it one day. And I used to watch it all the time. Now I have chance to play.
Since obviously the manager's come in, this is the one that we haven't really won yet. So it's definitely extra motivation for us.
I've been asking the boys when was the last time Liverpool won it, and so I think it was a long time ago.
Maybe too long ago since the last time we won it as a club, and we have a good chance to get this in our cabinet as well. So we'll know how tough it's going to be. We've seen it already in the Carabao Cup final. So we'll see. We'll go there and hopefully have a fantastic day all together.
It's always very exciting. You see half the ground red, half the ground blue. So it's been exciting for us to get there and hopefully unbeaten there so far this season. Hopefully carry that on.
Liverpool and Chelsea once again meet in a domestic cup final. The history of these clubs has intertwined so much. Once again, they go head to head for silverware.
They have, different ways to play against you, attack you, and create dangerous moments. Quality in midfield, up front, behind. So they're a complete team, and obviously this last part of the season they haven't been as consistent as they obviously wish to be. Doesn't really matter in this final. This final is going to be one game, and both teams want to win it, as much as possible.
Sure, it'll be a very tight game, as it always is with Chelsea. Tactically, they're very well regimented, and they know what they're doing, as do we. So, two different styles of football that come together and often create a very good game.
Sadio Mane needs a goal for Liverpool, and Sadio Mane does get a goal for Liverpool.
We know that, it's one of the best teams, not only in England but in the world, Chelsea. But we are in a good, very, very good moment. Let's say it is the truth. And a month ago we won the Carabao, so let's go and make another story.
It's a fantastic occasion, it's a final. The fans have their special day out at Wembley again, and for us as players, we want to win a cup, win this cup in particular, and we just go there and perform and hopefully be the better side and on the winning side especially.
Well, that is pretty much it from us from Wembley. Thanks for the moment. You can relax for a bit. But we are back right here as part of Matchday Live over on LFC TV and LFC TV Go this afternoon. Let's take a look at how that looks. 3 o'clock kickoff for our build-up. Rob Jones and Stephen Warnock with Gary Gillespie in the studio. And, of course, Jason back here with me at a roasting pitch side. All the team news when it comes. Steve Hunter and Mark Wright, former FA Cup winning captain himself in '92, guiding you through all the action from the National Stadium with live audio commentary. And then come full-time, the matchday reaction follows, when I'll hopefully be speaking to some very happy Liverpool players. And we've even got more on offer for you here as well. Head over to liverpoolfc.com/video. Register to watch all of today's action on demand for free from midday tomorrow. We've got highlights from this afternoon's game. You'll also be able to relive all 90 minutes of Chelsea against Liverpool in full as well as all of that. You can get the very best view of the game from midday tomorrow as we go behind the scenes with Inside Wembley